Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. I was on X, formerly known as Twitter, and last week there was a big controversy regarding men liking tomboys. Now, according to these social justice warriors, they had an issue with men being attracted to tomboys, and what they wanted to say was that there was something wrong with a man who was attracted to a woman who was a tomboy. Now, this is the latest effort by these social justice types to try to hijack the narrative of women who are tomboys, because according to a lot of these social justice warriors, what they want to do is try to classify many women who are tomboys under a alphabet sexual orientation and say that those who are tomboys are on a road to an alphabet sexual orientation. However, the whole concept of the tomboy isn't really affiliated with any sort of sexual orientation. No, tomboys have always been around ever since the beginning of time, and the whole concept of the tomboy, which was originally a 19th century social construct, was designed to talk about the idea of a girl or a woman who usually likes socializing with boys and getting involved with things that are usually associated with boys and men, such as cars or sports. And the whole concept of the tomboy is a woman who oftentimes is interested in hanging out with the guys, and many of these people who are social justice warriors, they are uncomfortable with the idea of a girl who is a tomboy because they cannot go out here and associate them with their identity politics. So what they want to do is create an agenda to push a narrative regarding them. And what's happened with the entire tomboy narrative is that many of these social justice warriors and some of these feminists, what they want to do is present the argument that girls who are tomboys are having a certain sexual orientation. However, that's never been the case at all. No, many girls who are tomboys usually just have a genuine interest in guy things, and they have an interest in guy things because they genuinely just like things like cars, or they like things like sports, and they just like those things overall. It doesn't mean that they have a certain sexual orientation, because oftentimes when you have tomboys and they start to enter into adolescence, a lot of times they start to show an interest in feminine things, and as they start to show an interest in feminine things, what happens is a lot of the tomboys wind up going from being interested in just boy things to having a more balanced interest in things that they like. So the whole concept of saying, oh, a girl is just interested in boy things as related to gender, it really makes no sense, because what happens is that the tomboys, a lot of times, they grow up and they start to discover their femininity, and as they start to discover their femininity, many start to show their interest in being heterosexual and start showing their interest in having relationships with men. And the men who get involved with these women, these men do not have any sort of issue as related to their sexual orientation as well. What happens in the case of tomboys is that they wind up forming a connection with men the same way any other straight woman finds a connection with a man, because they have things in common, and because they have things in common, they wind up forming a relationship where they come together. Now, when it comes to tomboys, a lot of women who are very feminine or feminists out here, they like to believe that the tomboy is out here having some sort of advantage with the guys, or she's out here having relationships with the guys. But a lot of times these women don't radiate that feminine energy that makes them attractive to men in some cases. And in some cases, some of these women or girls are socially awkward and they struggle to express their feelings with a man that they like. That's what happens to a lot of tomboys, and they really struggle to express how they feel regarding a guy that they like. And that's something that people really don't understand about tomboys. They'll sit there and think, oh, this girl, she's out here hanging with these guys, but a lot of times those guys are not sexually attracted to her, and a lot of times they're not sexually attracted to her because some of those guys basically respect her in some way, and in other cases they basically see her in the way they see a fellow brother or a sister, and because they see them like a sibling, they don't really consider them for a relationship. That's what flies over the heads of the feminist and social justice warriors who want to go out here and try to frame a new narrative around tomboys, around the identity politics of sexual orientation. They want to try to say that because the tomboy hangs out with boys, that they are masculine, and because they are masculine, they have an attraction to women. But that's not ever really been the case at all as related to a majority of the cases of tomboys. No, from my research when I was writing the ISIS series, I started to learn that tomboys oftentimes were very heterosexual and very much had a very strong interest in men and wanted to have relationships with men. Now, when I was creating the ISIS character back in 1999, I created the character to be a tomboy because I wanted to say that Osiris wanted a son, but he got a daughter. But the daughter was interested in boy things and hanging out with boys like the prince and his guards. And as she wanted to hang out with the prince and his guards, she wanted to earn the respect of the prince. And I showed that in a part of Amari's Revenge, that the relationship was never about anything romantic. No, it was always about the friendship that you had with these men, because you saw this man like a brother, and because she saw this man like a brother, she loved him in a completely different way than she would love a man in a romantic fashion. Because when it comes to tomboys, again, it's always about the respect that she has for those men that she's involved with. It's always about that respect that she has as related to those men, and that's why her relationship is different than the one that most other women have, because both the man and the woman that she's hanging out with, again, they understand that there's a bond there of brotherhood and sisterhood that is completely different than the one of a romantic relationship, because a romantic relationship is something that is about a man and woman coming together intimately as those who love each other under God's order, whereas the love of a male and female friend is sort of like a brother and a sister, and is akin to something like I call, like as related to the Bible with David and Jonathan. It's a bond that is there, but it's a completely different bond than the one that a woman has as a romantic relationship. Now, when it comes to tomboys, they do struggle with romance because a lot of times they don't feel comfortable in that type of situation. A lot of times it's hard to express those feelings, and because it's hard to express those feelings, it's something that a lot of tomboys struggle with as related to developing social relationships. Many of, again, women will say, oh, this woman should have an easy way in, but it's hard to get a person to see you in that kind of way. And that's what many people don't understand about tomboys. They sit there and talk about, oh, they must be attracted to women because they hang out with men. but a lot of times these women hang out with men because they are extremely uncomfortable around women, because a lot of women are very jealous, a lot of women are very catty and very nasty, and they feel a bit more comfortable with dudes because when it comes to certain dudes who are not beta males, they can be real chill. And because they're chill, you can sit down and learn something from that dude. And as you're learning about something you're interested in, like comics or science fiction or fantasy or cars or all sorts of things like computers, because these are the kind of things that tomboys are into. They are into all sorts of different things, and these things are the things that they like to do, and they like to hang out with guys who want to do the things that they want to do, and they want to avoid all of the jealousy and drama, and it has no sort of connotation as related to sexual orientation. No, none at all. Usually, again, when tomboys get into adolescence and adulthood, they oftentimes have interests in guys, and sometimes they find a guy that they like, and when they finally get through learning how to express their feelings in a constructive fashion, what they do is have a very close and intimate relationship with that man, because they have respect for that man, and they understand that if in order the foundation of that relationship is respect, that's what she's usually taught in her home with her parents, and that's what she's taught by the men she's socializing with, because the guys are going to just sit there and tell her what the truth, and they feel safe about telling her the truth. And that feeling of safety, that's one of the things that guys like about tomboys, is that you feel safe with this woman, that she's not going to go out here and disrespect you or embarrass you. And that's one of the things that guys find attractive about tomboys, is that they, again, have this respect. And again, if you want to build a relationship with any woman, respect is the first thing that's related to that woman having a relationship with you. It's one of the things that makes women and men connect with each other. When a man feels that he's respected by a woman, he will want to pursue a relationship with her. And that's the thing that men find attractive about tomboys, is they have things that they have in common. She's interested in working with him towards building, and she's also interested in showing respect for him as a man. That's the things that are the foundations of a healthy relationship. And while many out here want to try to connotate this with different sexual orientations, most tomboys, from the research I did when I was writing in creating ISIS, I found them to be, again, very straight and very heterosexual, liking guys, but some of them, they have feelings of inadequacy about competing with other women for the attention of men, and that makes it where some are afraid of expressing themselves, and makes it where they struggle with stuff. That was the kind of stuff that I felt would be compelling as related to the Isis character and making her this tomboy. And I thought, and I understood back then, that tomboys, again, are very, very interesting women, very complex women, and there's more to them than what social justice warriors are trying to do and trying to project sexual orientation as the main focus. No, for a tomboy, it's not just about sexual orientation. It's all about the relationships they have. It's all about forming a relationship that's mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. And that has nothing to do with any sort of identity politics as related to sexual orientation. No, a tomboy is a complex person, and a person who wants to be themselves, and they want to feel comfortable about being themselves in a relationship, and that's why they hang out with guys, because they feel more comfortable around guys than girls, and that's why they spend more time hanging out with guys. And again, a lot of times they're not really interested in a guy like that, but you'll have guys out here who will think that, oh, it's an easy way in because they want easy sexual access, but there's more to relationships than sex, and tomboys show that in the way that they behave. Now, if you want to learn more about how tomboys deal with relationships, you can pick up my book, Isis, Omari's Revenge, and you can learn how Isis dealt with her relationship with the Prince of Nubia and how she had issues with the Princess of Nubia who wanted revenge on her. And you can find that book in paperback right now on Amazon.com, and you can find it at other online booksellers like those off Draft, the Digital, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Isis, All That Glitters. The Goddess Next Door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The Goddess Next Door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.